JDBC, which abbreviate Java Database Connectivity. JDBC is an API, which is nothing but application programming interface that will help the programmer to write Java programs so that they can connect to any database, maybe Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB, whatever databases are available, and they can execute the queries with respect to the database, retrieve the data from the database, and process the results. And JDBC is actually one of the inbuilt part of Java Standard Edition. And we have a specific package that is nothing but the SQL package, which is going to contain the classes and interfaces which are going to be the part of your JDBC API. So when I say API, which is nothing but it is a set of classes and interfaces. And this API related to JDBC is available within a package that is called your SQL package. So through Java application, when we want to talk to a database so that we can execute certain queries, we can process certain data, we can retrieve certain results through the Java application, then we require JDBC. The basic architecture of JDBC has these different portions, like this is the Java application which is going to use the JDBC API, which will be holding the set of classes and interfaces. Now, there is a manager which we call JDBC driver manager. And this driver manager is actually responsible for managing all the list of drivers. So your Java application is not directly connecting with the database. Rather, we need certain drivers through which we can connect to a database. And these drivers are managed by the JDBC driver manager. And what actually JDBC driver is? JDBC driver is nothing but is a software component. It's a software component which is going to enable the Java applications so that they can connect to a database or interact with a database. And DBMS represents any database, for example, Oracle, MySQL, etc. So why actually we need the JDBC drivers? Because whatever format or the instructions we write in Java, and because we are going to execute the SQL queries related to a particular database, so the SQL query have their own language, whereas Java itself has its own language. So because there is a mismatch, Java queries or Java instructions are not directly understood by the database. Hence, we require drivers which will help us to convert the Java instructions or the calls that we have made through Java program into a database specific calls, and of course the vice versa. Okay. And that is the reason why the drivers are required. So drivers are just like we can say the translators who are going to translate the Java calls into the database specific calls and database specific calls to the Java calls. And based on the functionality and the architecture, so there are so many drivers we have, but we have divided the entire set of drivers available into 4 types very specifically. And these 4 categories are completely based upon the functionality, how do they work, and their architecture. And namely, we call like type 1 driver, type 2 driver, type 3 driver, and type 4 driver. And each of these driver has a specific name, like type 1 driver is popularly known as your JDBC-ODBC bridge driver. Whereas type 2 driver is known as your native API, partly Java driver. And type 3 driver is also called as network protocol driver. And type 4 driver is also called as your purely the Java driver, or more popularly we call it as a thin driver.